Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm GeGe and I'm a lawyer who started this channel to provide tips and guidance to empower working women, which is a topic that's very near and dear to me as I work in a competitive industry that's historically been male dominated. So my starting this channel is to help women like myself and develop a community in which we can discuss the issues we face in the workplace. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than my usual video, and that is I'm going to talk about what I wish I had known in law school. I think this is a topic that is really important, especially for women who want to excel in law school and in the workplace after law school. It really is important to know what you're getting into going in and how to tackle it, because law school is very challenging. It is by far the most challenging thing school-wise that I've done in my life, much harder than college. So I wanted to share some of the tips that I wish I had known before I started law school. So if it's of interest to you, please stay tuned. So the first tip I would say that I recommend for those who are thinking about law school or going into law school soon is that you should not be intimidated by the teaching method that they use in law school. And if you've seen movies like Legally Blonde, you'll know that the lectures are the predominant way that subjects are taught in law school. And the lectures involve the professor picking on students, what we call co-calling students, asking questions unexpectedly, asking questions that you might not know the answer to. So it's very intimidating, and the room's completely silent when you're put on the spot. So it is really scary experience for people who are unfamiliar with that kind of method of teaching and the lecture style. So this method of Socratic teaching, as they call it, is meant to provoke thought, but more oftentimes than not, it stymies your ability to think clearly because you're so scared. So I would say don't be scared about it. It's okay if you don't have the answer when the professor calls on you. It can be difficult to think on the spot and think clearly. So it is completely fine if you stutter and it takes you a while to figure out the answer. Because ultimately at the end of the semester, your grades are not dependent on whether or not you answered a question correctly during lecture, or whether or not you gave a fluent answer when the professor called on you on any given day. So just know that. Now my second tip relates to that a bit, which is you want to be actively participating in your classes. It's really hard to participate in law school because, again, it's lecture style. Most classes are taught by lecture. And so you're not going to be given a lot of time to speak up during class. So what I would recommend you do, and what I did that helped me boost my grades in any given class, was talk to the professor after class and also go to office hours, because the more that you get face time, one-on-one conversation with your instructors, they will know that you are really active in the subject matter and you are interested and you're engaged with the material, and they love to see that. And then they also get to know you as a person, and once you know somebody as a person, you tend to grow to like them more. That's just human nature. So you really want to get to know the professor and any teaching assistants that are helping out the professor. Because I know, for example, at my institution, and I did go to a top law school, I would say that the professors can boost your grade by a good amount if they feel like your participation warrants that boost. So for example, if you did okay on the final exam, you got an A- on the final exam, but the professor really appreciated your participation and your engagement with the topic that they taught you, they can boost your grade from an A- to an A. That is significant because your GPA will really reflect that boost. once you get your final, all the test results for all your classes. So I think it cannot be overstated the importance of engaging with your professors one-on-one if you can. And don't be hesitant, because they love to see their students talking about the topics that they're teaching in class. They love to see students absorb it and think about it, and even sometimes challenge the professors on these topics. It really shows that you are an excellent thinker and a great student. Now, on to my next tip. I would say that for law school classes, like I mentioned earlier, it's all lecture style. What happens is the day before lecture or the few days before lecture, you'll read a bunch of cases that are assigned by the professor, and law school is taught via case method. So that means that you will be expected to read a heavy book. It is probably sometimes 1,000 pages, and it is very dense, and it's full of cases written by judges across the country from the beginning of time, and it talks about how certain legal concepts are thought about and how they develop over the course of time via various opinions. It is not personally don't think it's a great method of teaching because it kind of gets too granular at some points, yet does not show you the overarching concept that you need to know. Because some opinions written by judges are not clearly written, or written in such a way that they lend themselves to teaching you the concept that you need to know from that particular case. And different people will interpret cases differently, which also creates problems and confusion when you, the student, are just trying to learn what is the law. So to combat this, I think that students should read a primer for the class they're taking before they take the class. So I'll show you an example here. I have some primers that I used when I was in law school. This one is for federal income tax, and you can see I still have it bookmarked. This was extremely helpful for me, and I'll link it down below, and I'll try to find some other less dense primers that you guys can use if you want to take me up on this tip and review your primers before getting into class and reading the casebook. Primers are better than casebook, I think, because they give you the black letter law, as we call it, which is what is the law, word for word. Like what is the law as you need to know it? What is the correct version of the law, not just open to interpretation. And so once you read this primer, you will know what that law is. And then once you read the casebook, you won't be confused by all the extra details that the casebook will throw at you. There's a lot of excess material in these case opinions that you don't really need to know to get the law right and to do well on the exam. So I would really heavily recommend reading such primers. And my other one that I have is for real estate transactions. So I still keep these. They're just really useful to have around, because as you're practicing law, once you're a licensed attorney, you'll sometimes forget concepts you've learned like 10 years ago in your real estate class or your constitutional law class, whatnot. It happens. These are great resources to turn to in those moments when you forget that one concept or that one rule that you want to brush up on. So primers are really important, and I think they go a long way to getting you a good grade in your class, because you'll see they're really good for teaching you how all the concepts fit together too. And a lot of these primers will have tests at the end of the chapter or at the end of each concept to help you figure out what are the contours of the law you're learning, how does it fit into other concepts. So it really helps you reinforce what you've read and test what you know and figure out what you don't know, so you can brush up on that even more. My fourth tip is don't overlook the importance of your grades from second and third year of law school. You may know this, first year is the most important year. First year of law school is what determines whether or not you get a summer job at a big law firm that might then lead to a permanent position if that law firm offers you a permanent position. So 1L year, or first year of law school, is very, very crucial. You have to do well. But that doesn't mean that if you don't do as well as you want, there is no way back. You can still get a great job with a great firm by doing well your second and third year. I did that. It worked for me. My first year was not the most stellar thing in my history of learning. So I don't want you to think, oh shoot, I didn't do well my first year, I'm going to be screwed forever. You're not. You still have 2L year and 3L year to show what you're made of, bring up your GPA, and go for those firms that you are targeting. Don't think that second year and third year of law school you can just party all the time, not study, not read the primers I recommended, not go to class and participate, not talk to professors. You still have to do all of that. I would treat second and third year as important years, just as important as the first year. So that means you would do everything that you did the first year and just keep going. The benefit of second and third year is you're not going to be in big lecture classes, or classes will tend to be less lecture-like. You might get a few classes that are seminars and where there's like 30 students, and that will really allow you to feel, I think, less pressure from your classmates, less competition, and maybe that'll help you loosen up and really achieve your best. And with the second year grades and third year grades that you get, if they're really good, they'll really boost your GPA. And I know there are some firms who still take on law students as summer associates or summer clerks after the second year. So if your first year, you did not do well and did not land a law firm job, you can still try after your second year and after your third year. Or if you got a job with the firm, but you weren't quite satisfied with the firm, it wasn't of the caliber that you wanted, if you get better grades in second and third year, you can jump firms and go to a better firm, a higher ranked firm. So don't forget that your 2L and 3L grades matter. And my last piece of advice is take clinical classes. And those are classes in which you get to work on real cases. You get to work with a practicing attorney or a professor who has who's still doing a full-time practice, but also teaching on the side. For example, my school, we had an immigration clinic, and we had clinics with the U.S. District Attorney's Office. So students who wanted hands-on experience working with real clients and real cases could take those clinical courses and just see how the day-to-day of a lawyer really is like. For immigration clinic, the students would go to the local immigration advocacy center and help with clients' matters that require real knowledge of immigration law. And for the U.S. District Attorney's Office, you would take on real cases, prosecute them like a district attorney would. So it is an amazing experience because law school will not teach you any of these real hands-on things that you need to know for the day-to-day practice, such as how to file a lawsuit, how to respond to a lawsuit, how to file motions and pay fees for these motions. Those are not things that are taught to you in law school. So you really have to go get those skills on your own, and clinical experience is great for that. I didn't do a clinical class when I was in law school. I did do trial advocacy, but trial advocacy was not really a clinical class in the sense that I did work on real cases. I worked on mocked up cases, but that was still really good experience. Even though they were fake cases, I still got to practice like a trial lawyer would. So I really recommend clinical classes. I hope this video was helpful to you. I really think that these are the tips that law students or aspiring law students should know, and I wish I'd known them as somebody who is the first one in my family to go to law school and become a lawyer. I really walked into law school with not too much knowledge of what to expect and how to handle it all. So I don't want anybody to make the mistakes that I did, so I offer this video to help those who just want to know a little bit more about what they're getting themselves into, and to know the secrets to excel in law school. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and I would really appreciate your support if you could subscribe to my channel by clicking the red button below this video and hit that notification bell so you'll get a notification when my next video comes up. And please feel free to ask me follow-up questions in the comments. I would love to get more comments from my viewers. It really helps boost my videos and helps circulate my videos to a wider audience so other people can benefit from the tips I provide. So feel free to leave comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.